Hey guys, Barry here again. And today I'm going to walk you through how Mairead was able to knock a staggering 47 hours off her work weeks within 30 days, okay, of working with us, with a 438% increase in her productivity and work completed every single week. And I'm going to show you how you can do that as well, okay? So Mairead, she runs her own business. She's two employees. She's over 250 clients. She was working 70 to 80 hour plus work weeks, had no personal time for herself, was stressed, burned out. She was bottlenecked in her business, only probably getting about 15% of her time working on the business versus working in it. And she was actually seriously considering selling the business because of the impact it was having on her and her days and her life. This was an absolutely phenomenal turnaround in less than 30 days and has impacted every area of our life. And I'm going to talk to that in a few minutes as well. So Mairead only joined our program here on March 11th, okay? And the first thing we did was complete what I call a strategic position and assessment, okay? And this is where we learn what our exact needs were, how the business runs, her challenges, her goals. We identified what those gaps were, where the leakages in her efficiency was. Like what we found was she was spending far too much time working in the business, okay, and not enough time working on it. She's over 250 clients and she was treating them all as equals. She was giving her smallest clients similar time to her largest, most profitable clients. And she had any systems for her days as well, okay? She was responding to the most urgent needs of everyone else, often answering over 30 calls per day, constantly task switching. You know, I often describe it as that if you don't have a system in place, it's a bit like a manufacturing plant that without having that doesn't have maybe a process or maybe a system in place. What would happen? Well, this part to be too big, this part to be too small, this part to take 10 times longer than normal to complete, this part over here, that would cost 5 times more than it ever needed to. But no, they have a system in place, don't they? They all have a system, a process that they follow, a step-by-step process that gives them predictable results on the far side. That's exactly what we need in our days as well. A step-by-step process, a process we follow, because otherwise it's up to it's in the lap of the gods, what results we get, unless we have a predictable process that gets us results on the far side. The same as a manufacturing plant or anything else. Okay. And this is exactly what Mairead needed as well. What we done then is when we had gathered that information is we onboarded Mairead then into the program. Okay. And what we've done was we just basically created a game plan of success. And part of this process is creating immediate actions and immediate wins. Okay, so some quick wins straight off the back. Like, for example, we implemented a major profit lever that got her looking at the 20% of our clients that generated the 80% of our profits and results. And we started putting in plans in place to get her focusing on 80% of our time on these clients, okay, which led to an immediate increase in profit. The next thing then we looked at is creating the time efficiency plan, okay, the time efficiency plan. And this is where we're looking at absolutely everything in our days and weeks, okay. We're looking at our vision, okay, for our business, looking at our goals, personally, professionally. I'm looking at those challenges within our days. I'm doing a complete calendar audit. I'm looking at all our daily tasks, okay, what value tasks is she working on, what's her energy levels like throughout those tasks. I'm looking at the repeatable tasks as well, because there's huge efficiencies to be found in the repeatable things that we do every day. I'm looking at our business needs, our family needs, our personal needs. I'm looking at her priorities, looking at her team, who could she delegate to, or maybe her future team needs as well, who may she need to delegate to in future. And then what I've done is I built out a 3, 6, 12-month plan and reverse engineered all that into a plan, okay? So we could get her hitting every single goal she had personally and professionally. What we wanted to do was, yes, we wanted to get her fast and efficient, but to make sure she's fast and efficient on the right road, not going a million miles an hour down the road in the wrong direction. So what we're doing really here in this instance is we're starting with the end in mind, and we're reverse engineering the process to make sure that every step forward is always a step in the right direction, so that she ultimately ends up in a place she wants to be in 3 months, 6 months, 12 months time. So it's not, she doesn't realize 12 months later that she's not where she wants to be. Every step forward right now, once you have that level of clarity, is always a step in the right direction. You have so much clarity about the situation. You make so much better decisions about what you're going to do, because by saying yes to this thing now, taking you close to your goals. By saying yes to this thing over here, is bringing you further away from your goals. So it's allowing you really to make far better decisions in your days and weeks as well. Plus, the data that we collected here allows us to see where the leakages are. So what gets measured gets managed. When we can see what those leakages are in both time and efficiencies, we can shore them up quickly. So this is where she can start transitioning to her higher value, higher energy tasks as the primary focus, okay? So the next thing we done was we looked at all her reoccurring tasks, okay? And we set up what I call performance blocks for her reoccurring tasks. I mentioned it earlier, but there's huge efficiencies to be got in the reoccurring things that you do every day, okay? So this is what we done. We looked at what all those reoccurring tasks were. Like what we found was Mairead was constantly task switching between emails, calls, meetings, staff queries, questions, clients, like all day, every day she was switching. She would do this for a while and she'd switch this thing. She'd an email come in and switch this thing. Then the phone call, she would switch to that. That was killing her efficiency. There's a setup cost with every single task we do. But by batching similar type tasks together into performance blocks and only completing them at certain times or on certain days, we created massive efficiencies in Mairead work days for 3 reasons. Number one, when you do this, you don't have the setup cost every time because half the work is in the thinking and the setting up and the just getting started. Number two, we avoided the temptation for constant task switching throughout the day. Every time we switch task, it costs us 11 to 24 minutes to regain our focus again. Actually, 41% of the time, we don't even get back to that original thing that we were working on. It drains our energy and it massively decreases our efficiency when we keep task switching all day, every day, okay? So what we done was we also introduced into our days key other performance blocks. Okay, so we took the repeatable tasks that she was already doing. We built performance blocks with them and blocked those into our calendars at certain days and certain times. But we also introduced other key performance blocks into our days. One of the most critical ones for her was the radical focus performance block. Okay, and this radical focus performance block is a 90-minute block of time we have in our calendar every single day, where she'll be working on her top 1 to 3 priorities for that day, or as I call them, her big rocks for that day. And we block these into her calendar every day. So what we're doing is getting the big rocks into her time bucket. Okay, most people try to do the opposite, and the time bucket gets filled with all the small little stuff, and then they just can't jam in the big stuff. There's never anywhere for it to fit. So what we're doing is we're taking the reverse approach. We're emptying out that time bucket, we're putting in the big stuff first, and we're allowing everything else then to filter in around that, okay? So these performance blocks are so powerful. And what she found is she was actually getting far more done on one of these 90-minute performance blocks than she was doing in an entire 8-hour day before, 10-hour day or 12-hour day or whatever length she worked. She was getting far more done in this block of time than she'd do in an entire day, okay? They're really that powerful, okay? The next thing we done here, okay, was to build out what I call our second brain system. So we built into her days our second brain time leveraging system. And this second brain time leveraging system, it's a science-backed way to maximize your time efficiency. So business owners like you, like other business owners, you can start leveraging your time, okay? Where you're always working on the smallest things is going to get you to the largest results. Where you can start achieving the biggest results with the least time and effort. Because neuroscience shows that our brains is just not designed for the onslaught of information that's coming at us all the time. Okay, all that information, like all the things that we have to do, I call it the wall noise that's coming at us all the time. Okay, what happens is it leads to decision fatigue, poor decision making, and ultimately poor performance. Our brains was never designed to process this stuff. Okay, they're designed for having ideas, not for holding ideas. And the most successful people who can leverage time, they tap into what experts call the second brain. Okay, the second brain system is a plug-and-play system I gave her and built into her days to get her leverage in her time, where she's always working on the smallest things is going to get us the biggest results in her day, okay? And using this system, Mairead knew to what to work on at any given day and time. So she was always working on the right things, just the next right thing, then the next right thing, and the next one. Yes, she had 50 other things that she needed to do, but she put urgency in its place, she put importance in its place, and she was always working on that next right thing, okay? And the reason why this is so important is because say you have a list of 10 things to do. 2 of those things on your list are going to be worth 5 to 10 times more in value and output than the other 8 put together. This system helps her leverage those type tasks consistently. Plus, it acts like a parking system for everything you need to do. So everything is almost brain dumped into the system, okay? So now, like, you're putting your reliance back on a system, a process, a bit like the manufacturing plant, okay? And you're just following the process. If we don't have a process that we're following, well, you're going to typically work on the quicker wins, work on the stuff that's needed today instead of the more strategic stuff. And all of a sudden, you're still working, 3 months time, 6 months time, 12 months time, you still haven't got the big stuff done, okay? But when you take all this stuff out of your head and out of diaries and to-do lists and everything else and brain dump it into a system, You're always working on the right things, but externalizing like this has a significant impact on us, our headspace, our energy levels. It frees up our headspace to do what it was designed to do. Be strategic, think clearly, be present with the family in the evening. So it's almost like dropping those mags of mental baggage that we carry around with us. And when we do that, we can start switching off from work. Knowing that everything is taken care of, knowing that everything is as it should be. And yes, you have things that you need to do, but you'll get to them at the right moment in time, okay? By outsourcing the job of remembering, prioritizing, managing everything we need to do, we get the peace of mind of knowing exactly what to do with each piece of information and the confidence that it'll never be forgotten or fall between the cracks or anything else. At this point then, what I done, okay, now she was working on the right things consistently. What I done is I integrated flow triggers into her daily routines. So what we done is we scientifically rewire our brain pathways to enhance her focus and concentration for the higher value tasks. So when we done this increased her output per unit of time fivefold, okay? So Einstein discovered that time was relative, which means we can condense time. These flow triggers got Mairead to condense time. So 60 minutes wasn't just like 60 minutes to her anymore. It's worth 5 times that to you because your output per unit of time has just increased fivefold. So these flow triggers help Mairead get into a state of flow. And when Mairead got into a state of flow, she was ramping through that work at a rate of 5x, okay? Her ramp up per unit of time was 5x, okay? Most people think I've only, 15 minutes or only 30 minutes or only an hour. Not all time is created equal. And when you get into a state of flow, you can 5x your output within whatever blocks of time you have available, okay? Without getting sidetracked with distractions or interruptions or anything else that can pull us out of that zone, okay? So we can better manage our days, but also our fears and anxieties by getting this stuff out of our head and just making a plan to address them. That's what the system does. Otherwise, it's impossible to distill out what our key priorities are because we've just so much come at us all the time. And this is all done within the first 14 days, okay? The next thing we done was to get Mairead to create what I call a traction bubble, okay? So we created a traction bubble around our day, okay? Distraction is probably the biggest killer of productivity, for all of us, especially this day and age where it's just the wall of noise just gets bigger and louder all the time. The level of distractions is just, all consuming sometimes, okay? It's an absolute killer. Distraction really it's something that moves us away from something that we want, okay? We're over here and distraction is what's moving us away. Traction is an action that moves us towards what we really want. So the opposite of distraction is traction. We want to move away from distraction to get traction and to move into the zone of what I call focused action. That's the sweet spot. So what we did for Mairead was create a traction bubble that allowed her to work on our most important high-value tasks without interruptions, without distractions, without procrastinations. So we set up a traction bubble, which basically means we set up our environment for success to make sure that there wasn't a possibility for distraction. Remember, your environment is far more powerful than your willpower. So that's why you need to set up a traction bubble to ensure that when you are working on the right things and when you are in that zone and when you are in that state of flow, that you're not getting yanked out of it. If you think about your sleep cycles at night, even if you sleep for 8 hours and you're constantly getting yanked in and yanked out of it by maybe a baby or a noise or something like that, even if you do go back to sleep quickly, what happens is that all these micro interruptions during your day are just killing your efficiency, you're killing your productivity. So that's why it's so important in our days that we set up our environment for success with a traction bubble for our highest value tasks that we cannot get distracted or interrupted or moved away or anything like that could potentially break that cycle that we're in, that cycle of flow that we're in, okay? So Mairead really started to see huge results at this stage, but we weren't finished yet. The next thing we did was pour fuel on all this by applying leverage to how she worked, using what I call the application of primary leverage. So if you remember nothing else from this video, remember this. Using the leverage of time is the most fundamental strategy for success in business right now, okay? When you're leveraging time, you're always working on the smallest things that's going to get you the largest results. It's like, what are the smallest things I can do right now that's going to get me the largest results? Remember, not all time is created equal, but not all tasks are created equal either, okay? And when we applied our leveraging systems to Mairead's performance and results, we found that 80% of our results were attained in 20% of the time taken. Conversely, 80% of the time spent only led to 20% of the output value. Basically, for every 10 things she was working on, 2 of those things turned out to be worth 5 to 10 times more in value than the other 8 put together, okay? So we used our leveraging systems to focus our attention on these type tasks, okay? When we consistently leveraged these type tasks is going to bring in 80% of the results consistently, okay? So she was always working on the right things. So to do this, Mairead just utilized that second brain system, okay? So the second brain system was basically telling her what those type tasks are. What are the tasks that's going to give me 5 to 10 times more in value and results, okay? And then she was able to focus on those type tasks. What we done then is we applied what I call secondary leverage to reduce the time it takes to complete those type tasks, okay? So now we can condense our days down even further, okay? The first step here was to create what I call an artificial forcing system to get Mairead completing her key tasks in a fraction of the time. So the time it takes to complete any task will swell in relation to the amount of time available. That's why if you have 6 months to do something, it'll probably take you 6 months, 7 months maybe. If you have 4 weeks to do the same thing, you get it done in 4 weeks. So what we done was we set up artificial deadlines, almost like an artificial forcing system, okay, that created laser-like focus and execution. So this forcing system, it's just incompatible with distraction. It's incompatible with procrastination because there's no way you can still give into distraction, procrastination, or anything else and still make your deadlines, okay? Remember, the task will swell in relation to the time available. So we took the opposite approach. And we set up an artificial forcing system to actually reduce down that time and to get her working through that work much faster. So now she was getting ahead of herself. Now she didn't have to wait to the last minute deadline to generate a bit of focus. Okay, we can all do that. What we did was we start getting her to generate that focus much sooner, therefore decreasing the amount of time it took her to complete those key tasks and get her well ahead of herself. Okay, so the next thing we did as part of applying secondary leverage was we did a go lean review of everything she does every week. Okay, so this is almost like we're creating a not to do list. Okay, so the best way to do this is to log everything you do for a week and to see what tasks then, are the lower value, lower energy tasks. Okay, what are the kind of things then you can eliminate, delegate, or maybe outsource from that? This exercise really helped Mairead prioritize what her biggest time sucks were and give her massive clarity on what to get rid of first. And it doesn't mean you don't do it. It may mean that just somebody else does it. Honestly, if you value your time at €100 an hour or whatever it is there any point in completing €15 an hour tasks? I don't think so. Mairead completed a larger number of tasks that were worth a fraction of her time value. Okay, these are the low value, low energy tasks. Okay, they're the low value tasks, but they're also the things she didn't even enjoy doing in the first place. Okay, when you work on the lower value or lower energy tasks, it just means you're taking away time from the actual higher value tasks that you need to be working on. For example, if your time is worth €100 an hour and you're maybe doing €20 an hour tasks, the time difference is one thing, but then the cost difference is actually costing you €80 more than it should actually do that task, okay? And it's taking your time away from time that could be spent on the higher value stuff, okay? That's the power of leverage. Like if you're not leveraging time right now, it's costing you money and it's adding countless hours to your work weeks, okay? And the main outcome from all this combined was a massive reduction in her work hours, okay? She reduced her work hours by 47 hours, okay? There was an immense reduction in her work hours and it's such a knock-on impact on the rest of her life. Like she started getting home to the kids on time for the first time. Her profits has increased. She earns more, her teams earn more. And like when you get this right at the core, it's like the center of a wheel, the spokes of getting this right. When you get your productivity and you optimize at the center for productivity and efficiencies in your days, it's like it feeds into every aspect of your life. Mairead now exercises more every month. She sleeps better, she eats better, she's more time for herself. She's more present with the family in the evenings. She gets the holidays now that she wants. She feels better. Then she sleeps better. Then she wakes up on the next day and she feels better. And it's like a big momentum flywheel that just gets better and better and better. She now works about 20 hours per week. Like it's bonkers. She earns more. Her team earns more and she's working like 20 hours a week now, okay? That's the benefits of the right systems, okay? That's the benefits of the right process. But you just learn to trust the system. You learn to trust the processes. So you can switch off in the evenings knowing that everything is as it should be. Everything isn't taken care of, Everything is in the right place. Her business now gives her the time, the money, and the freedom she craved by just applying the right system, just having that right process in place. That's how powerful it is, okay? That's how powerful what we do is. And if you want to work less in your business and start getting home on time, start carving out time for yourself personally and professionally, while running a hugely efficient business, while earning more, while getting that time and money freedom that you crave, pop me a DM. I'll see if I can actually do this for you as well, okay? So just before I wrap up, here's a couple of clips from Mairead's end of program talk. So before we wrap up, here's Mairead talking through her experience of how she got her results, just to give the kind of things that I've talked about there context, okay? So hope you enjoyed the video. I'll hand you over to Mairead now, and I'll talk to you soon.
I was burnt out, very.
Yeah.
Like I was not producing anything. My productivity was absolutely zero. I hadn't recognized how bad I was.
Okay.
So that's the first thing. I was working all weekends. I was working every night. I was working in the middle of the night from 5 to 7. Working on all of the small stuff and not ever getting to the big stuff. How both my staff have said, how the hell were you actually getting all of this done? And I think I was getting it all done. But I didn't realize that I actually, shortly before I met you, I hit the wall.
Okay.
Yeah. So I was, and I still remember you saying to me, I can help you. And it was like, you know, that kind of like a hand to pull you up when you're in such a bad place.
Yeah.
And like I had been even considering selling the practice. I had been considering all sorts of things because there was just I couldn't. But there's loads more in this practice, and the wins are that now I can see that there's way more in this practice.
Yeah. And not only that, but you have the space and the time to actually work on the practice now as well.
Yeah, but I have space for outside the practice as well. Like we're doing a big renovation job on the house starting the week at the end of next week when the leaving cert is over. I was always firefighting. It was like I worked off my inbox. It was, you know, but now there's very little of that. It's meeting the problem before it becomes a problem and having the time to check Ross every morning, and before the person calls and says this, I'm contacting them going, I have that in hand, or one of my staff has, just meeting problems before they become a problem.
Yeah, getting ahead of it all the time. Anything else that's standing out as a major difference between now and before you joined?
I'm thinking an awful lot more. I'm strategizing.
Okay.
But I was just kind of one job to next job. So
hours wise, how many hours less like do you feel potentially working now compared to?
Oh gosh, hours and hours and hours and hours less.
Yeah, I think
you mentioned
something. Looking at the notes from our first call, it was something like 70 to 80 hours a week. Like, where do you feel it's back to now?
About 20. I work about 20 hours a week now. Yeah, I know. And I feel guilty for it, I swear to God.
Oh my God, yeah.
Yeah, because
50 hours plus less.
Yeah, it is.
A week.
Yeah. I think there's a calmness that I didn't have before. I'm enjoying that. I'm enjoying watching Lynn and Emer thrive and really, really thrive. And it's gorgeous. And seeing their income coming up and seeing mine going up as well. Like there are no losers in this scenario.
Yeah.
The clients are happier and I don't feel bolted to the chair or bolted to the laptop.
Yeah, bolted to your business. And
but it's been transformative. It really has.
Why do you think it worked? Why do you think it worked for you? What was it that?
The length of time of it.
Yeah.
I've done so many courses that have been 3 hours or 5 hours, and then you do the course and then you leave the course and then you never actually apply the stuff.
Yeah.
The length of time is perfect. It's 8 weeks. I listen back to the audios and they're very good because it reaffirms what you thought you heard, or it actually tells you stuff that you've completely missed.
Yeah.
Trello's very good, but it was actually, you didn't bring it on straight away. You brought it in after a while.
Yeah.
That was very clever.
Yeah.
I think how you run the course is really, really brilliant. And I think the synergy between the two lads and myself worked very, very well.
Group. Yeah. You were a great group. You really were. And was there anything particular, you know, you were saying about, you know, knocking 50 or plus hours off your work week? Like, was there anything, like, what made the biggest difference, do you think, in helping you to do that? Or what were the kind of couple of core things maybe that helped you get such a reduction in hours?
Sure. I felt supported. A self-employed person is never supported.
Yeah.
We're very lone wolf, and we don't know how lone wolf we are because we're tiny but egocentric.
Yeah.
And then when we're in trouble, we've got nobody to call on.
Yeah.
So I had been searching for help, and you said the sentence, "I can help you if you let me." I can really help you.
Yeah.
And I don't remember much of the first conversation, but because I just moaned at you about how hard. And then you said, you know, this course will really help you. I can really help you. And nobody had ever said that sentence to me.
Yeah.
And you know, other people have said, you should do this, you should do that. Nobody had ever said, I can help you.
That's interesting. That's interesting.
Yes, isn't it? And but you have the ability to bring a person up. So that's a huge strength that you have. Not many people have it like.
I appreciate that. What would you think you'd be like now, or where would you be now if you didn't start the program, or if we, you know, parted ways after that first call and you were like, you know,
the practice would be sold at this stage. Yeah.
Even this length.
Oh, yeah.
Even like 3 months later.
Oh no, it was. Sure, I was.
Really? Yeah.
Yeah. Oh no, it was pretty dire.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh no, sure. Every plate was crashing around. Use the words, I'm working on my business rather than in my business. For me, I feel is that I'm looking up now. That I spent so many years looking down.
Yeah.
That I didn't see what was going on around the top of my head.
Yeah.
And I was just, it's like that typical picture of an accountant drowning under paper, except it wasn't paper. It was like responsibility and trying to people please left, right, and centre. You can't.
One final question for you now is it's funny kind of question, but say like the you know the money invested in the program, if I was to give you all that money back, all right, but you have to give back your results as well. Okay, so you have to, all the results that you got over the last 9 weeks, you have to give them back as well. Would you make that swap?
I wouldn't go back. No.
Even if I gave you the whole lot, it landed there cash in front of you on the table.
No. I think I might have died. Yeah. Because I was starting to feel so low and so disappointed in myself that I had made my way up this one-way road, this cul-de-sac that I was after doing with the best intentions. I had fallen on my own sword. So I think if it was you, or if it was the people selling my practice, or if it was something else, something was going to have to break. And so I think I feel very fortunate that I met you and that I was able to, that you said the words, I can help you.
Yeah.
And that I was able to hear those words, because just like there, I was saved from financial crash. Here, I feel I've been saved from professional crash.
Yeah.
And, you know, been ready to go on to the next step. So I feel that it was the best money I've spent. But it's never about money now for me, because I'm not stuck for money. It's time that I was stuck for.
Yeah.
And I invested my time in you, and that was something that I didn't have. I was poor on, but I still invested time in you. And I think that actually is the greatest compliment that any busy person can give to you. I invested my time in you.
Thank you, because that is probably the people who come to me are the busiest of the busy, and some of the concerns sometimes is, oh, I don't know, have I now 2 hours a week to actually invest in this, but what I'm telling them, whether they believe it or not, is look at the time you're investing, you're getting back every week. It's not actually extra time really once you start moving through the process.
Yes.
I know it's hard to think at the start, but that's not the case. But that is a really great compliment, and